Hey, we're back.
Oh, good. I thought we were front for a second, but no, apparently we are back. And that,
okay.
Dylan,
no, we're good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Twitching UpStream. I'm Zack, and he's Dylan. We are Some Nobodies. We make a bunch of weird stuff. You can see some of our logos down here at the bottom, such as Silicon Angels, Create Your Own Podventure, which is my current favorite, but not my number one overall of Some Nobodies media. If you stay tuned to the end, I'll reveal what that is, just so you know. But yeah, so what this show is that we do a show on Sundays called Talking UpStream, where we interview other creators and people that make stuff, whether it's a cool podcast that we like, movies that we have seen, or other random things, or people that we know that are also awesome creators. And then we kind of chat with them a little bit. We create something with them. Well, we wanted to not just keep creating stuff and just making more stuff for other people to make and us not to do it. So we decided to kind of make a show where we develop and show people how we take a very weird concept that took us 40 minutes to develop and turn it into something that can be boiled down to a script, maybe a reading or whatever. So that's what this is. So at any time while you're watching along, feel free to chat, throw something up in the comments, and we will address it appropriately and maybe fold it into the story depending on what it is. Also hit like and subscribe and all that other junk, and let us know how you're doing. But yeah, so what we have been working on is Red Wichita, which is a very cool concept, which is a podcast that we kind of created on episode 7 of Twitching UpStream, I think it was, maybe.
I don't remember when we started it, but it was definitely a Twitching UpStream.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, you can find the link in the show notes. I think it was 6 or 7. But before we get into that, I always have some weird nerd news that I want to throw at Dylan and get his very blasé response to it, because none of it is interesting or important whatsoever. But something that I saw in the news today that really struck my chords was, as you know, Quentin Tarantino, prolific director, writer, etc., he's been on record for years and years and years saying he's only making 10 movies total. He is at 9 movies currently. So people are always speculating what his 10th, opus is going to be. Obviously, it is time for, if you are a fan of Kill Bill, it would be a good time now to revisit that movie, because it is the exact time that Uma Thurman says to Mamba's daughter, hey, if you grew up, whatever, that'd be a cool movie. There has been speculation that he is doing a Star Trek, but if you look at his recent movies, obviously he's done a period piece, he has done a Western, he has done a Kung Fu movie. So if you think about it, it's like, all right, he's obviously going to pick a genre, whatever. But news came out today that if he ever does another movie after 10, it will not be as Quentin Tarantino, but as Quentin Jerome. His middle name is Jerome. He took his dad's name when he was a little bit after, like, preteen, and he just liked the name Quentin Tarantino. Thought it sounded cool. It was not his birth name; it's just his dad's name. But yeah, he says if he ever does an 11th movie, it'll be Quentin Jerome. Okay, so what is the point of saying you're only doing 10 movies if you will say that you'll do another movie as somebody else?
I mean, it's really hard to figure out what Tarantino's doing in the first place. He's got that pretentious art thing kind of nailed down, and I think, like, if that's what is gonna happen, then that's what he's gonna do.
Do you think there's any chance that he will change his style at all?
Maybe. I don't know if he can do that. I don't know if he can actually like manage that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's done like network shows. He did a 2-part CSI episode, which was very, very cool. He was very close to doing, like I said, a Star Trek movie. He's been involved in other weird projects, like he obviously wrote True Romance, which is one of my favorite movies, but he also has a hand in writing the Flintstones movie. So he's been everywhere. So yeah, it is odd to say, but I just don't know why you would say I'm only making 10. I'm only making 10. If I do make 11 though, it won't be a Tarantino John. Because he is one of the few auteurs that we have currently where you can look at a movie and say, I know exactly who made that movie, blah, blah, blah. What are you gonna say?
No, I think you're right. He is auteur. And I think part of that is that, yeah, I think I think this is right. Think of it like all the offshoots are for different styles or different feels or something like that. I mean, Tarantino, you can tell when you're watching something he directed and wrote, and sometimes you can tell at certain points when he wrote something.
Yeah.
I think if he really wants to branch out and do something different, changing the name might help him distance himself from that. In that, maybe he'll take on a different persona.
Yeah,
Prince,
but that's the thing.
Like known as Prince.
Well, all of his, that's a Prince song though when you hear it.
Yes.
But even like I forget what I was going to say. It doesn't matter. Okay. Whatever. Anyway, so okay. Other weird news that I saw. Oh god.
I do want to go on record. I don't think he's ever going to make a Star Trek movie. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Not anymore. No. No? What I was. Oh dang! I had it and I lost it again. No, whatever. That's funny.
Something about Star Trek.
I don't know. Whatever. No.
You don't want to rerun it and see if I can jog your memory again?
I don't think it was Star Trek. I think every time Star Trek comes up, I lose it. Okay. It's something about Blink 182. Different stuff. Oh, okay. So anyway, what I was going to say is if it is like a ghost writer, and you write like how Stephen King writes under different people, Richard Bachman, etc., there is a different feel to those styles of writing also. I just don't know how a director can have a different vision. But either way, I'm interested.
Yeah, right.
Other weird news. I don't know if you happen to see this. This really shocked me. It really took a lot of my time today doing some research, but it turns out, I don't know if you knew this or not, California recently has just voted that 5 more states, it is now illegal for state representation to travel to these states, which means so there are now 17 states in total that if you are a state official from California, you are not legally allowed, or they will not pay for it. I don't think you're legally allowed to be there because of their views of the LGBTQ.
They won't pay for it.
Yeah,
they won't pay for official travel.
Yeah, which is so great, and I think that's such a real precedence. But when you look at this list of states, you're like, well, obviously, that's stupid. Yeah. But yeah, they have very stupid views on trans people, trans children, all people, and
it's interesting. It's interesting to see California throw its weight around because it's in that weird semi spot where it's a state, but it has one of the top 10 GDPs in the world. So equivalent nation, it's like this weird squiggly nation state, and it's weird anytime California really does throw its weight around inside the union. Yeah, because if they wanted to, they could operate on probably some sort of minor global level, but
they definitely could. I mean, they're similar to Texas, where they're kind of set up to be like able to succeed. I mean, not as infrastructure wise as Texas,
yes,
but definitely monetarily and with all of their. All of the resources they have there. But either way, wait, what did Shady PhD say? He said,
he said Tarantino is going to pick up after the Farrelly brothers and make memorable comedy movies.
Oh, I would love that. Well, Jackie Brown, I think that's a very funny movie, and I like that movie, and I think it's very underrated.
Jackie Brown has comedic moments. I don't know that I would label it a comedy.
I don't know. It's pretty funny. All those gun commercials but yeah, I mean,
it's been a while.
Yeah, I would say as far as like a Tarantino movie gets, it is funny. I don't know. All right, so other more, I'll say Marvel-y, whatever.
Sure.
MCU news. I'm not sure if you saw the recent. Wait, what was this? Just think of the comedies of the 90s. I quote Dumb and Dumber on the. Well, yeah, Dumb and Dumber is one of the best comedies of all time. So that makes sense. Wait, does Dumb and Dumber hold up? I think it does, right?
We watched it for the Real Boys a while ago.
Yeah, I missed that episode.
Oh, right. Yes. I thought it was funny. If it's a little basic compared to comedies that have come out in the last few years, but that is virtue of the fact that it came out in '94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a straight Jim Carrey vessel, though, right? Like without Carrey, it does not work.
It's Jeff Daniels does a pretty good job in it, but Jim Carrey is definitely pulling a lot of the slapstick weight.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that later today and see how it goes. Anyway, yeah. Marvel news. So I'm not sure if you saw recently, Shang-Chi's trailer just came out. The newer one, the exclusive one. Where we
saying that some of the jokes in Dumb and Dumber will go over people's heads because of just
a decline in society.
I don't know. It's not even really jokes in that movie. It's just Jim Carrey Jeff Daniels does something stupid and then Jim Carrey makes a face.
So he said Dumb and Dumber is too smart for people.
Yeah.
I'm into that. But yeah, I'm not sure if you saw the Shang-Chi trailer, but there was a very small clip of what looked like Abomination in a tournament fighting.
Yeah.
And wait, he was put in Facebook. Ron was put in Facebook jail for quoting Dumb and Dumber just last week. Wait, just for saying the words or for writing? So I don't know, Lloyd. That's a very good line, though. But anyway, there's a clip in the Shang-Chi trailer where it has like Abomination fighting in a tournament. And Kevin Feige came out today and verified that is Wong that Abomination is fighting.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think if you had to form some kind of circumstances of why Wong, who is a sorcerer working for the Sorcerer Supreme, is fighting Abomination, who has not been seen since the Hulk movie and has only been talked about once? Ron said, "I finished that line and boom, gone." Wait, like verbally or wrote the line?
Probably wrote the line.
Just wrote that quote and was put in jail. Huh. Anyway. Wow.
Yeah. Huh.
Dude, Facebook.
Fascist book, more like it.
Yeah.
Fash book.
That's not gonna hang out.
That's not gonna catch on.
No. But what do you think tournament wise? How does Wong? Why does Wong in a tournament? Is he taken? Because he's a sorcerer. So
I'm hoping. This is my own personal hope for the movie, is that part or most of this movie will take place between the snaps. So this is when a lot of people are gone from Earth and society's kind of breaking down or something like that. What I think realistically is going to be, it's going to be Madripoor from Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I just don't know why Wong would be in a tournament. I just don't see it. But
maybe he's... I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
Wong doesn't have much of a character yet. He
loves Beyonce.
He does one-liners. He loves Beyonce and he does one-liners, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, but he hangs out with Doctor Strange, though, so
he
definitely knows. Yeah, whatever. Other weird MCU news. I'm not sure if you noticed this. I don't even know why this happened, but if the finale of WandaVision, right, a couple months ago, they did this weird swooping visual going through the mountains of possibly Wandagore Mountain. We're not really sure exactly where it is yet, I think, but. For some reason yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, Marvel just changed very, very lightly the ending of this. They added a couple trees to it. They kind of took some birds away. And it made me start thinking, like, obviously, Lucas was almost crucified for changing his vision of what he saw. And now, because mostly everything's digital, like on Disney Plus, there's no way for anyone to hold a physical version of that. So if they do change that and they upload it, we could really never know unless obviously people have that or torrent or whatever. But do you think A, they've changed anything else, and B, what is the point?
Oh, we got a question for you.
Oh, question for Zach. Do you think they will add any more backstory between Banner, Abomination, and Ross in the future? Yes, 100%. Because we know that Banner and Abomination are both in the She-Hulk. They've been confirmed for the She-Hulk series.
Oh.
And I would assume since Zemo got so much buzz, and since we have what's her face, Louise Dreyfus in there now as Val, I'm thinking they're going to build a Thunderbolts, which is obviously ran by Thunderbolt Ross. So I would say within the next 2 years, you're going to have way more Thunderbolt stuff. And yeah, I think that's where they're going with all that.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Go for it.
Disney declares Loki gender fluid for Pride in a shock twist after Loki's already been gender fluid for centuries. Yeah, for real. It was a weird move.
Red,
I mean,
if you want Marvel's Loki and in general Asgardian pantheon to adhere to historical pantheons, wrong IP, wrong franchise, buddy. I'm sorry. Like, they didn't even declare him gender fluid. They said that there's a variant who's a woman. This is not the Loki we know. They call her Sylvie. Like,
I think they said he was gender fluid, and they also said he was bisexual.
They did say he was bisexual. They on screen, he's like a little bit of both, and I'm like, cool. All right.
There was a piece of paper in like episode 1 or 2, maybe episode 1, they were putting him on trial, and I'm pretty sure that it said something about being fluid. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I agree with you, Jalen. Like, if you want to really get into Norse mythology, like Hela is a child of Loki, I think, right? And I know that
and Fenris and the serpent.
Yeah, and I also know that the wolf is a child. Fenrir is a child of Loki. I
used the wrong name.
Oh, who's Fenris?
I said Fenris. He's a character from Warhammer 40,000.
Honestly, knowing Loki, he would get around.
I meant Fenrir, yeah.
But okay, so back to the WandaVision thing. Why do you think they would change this months afterwards? It does not matter whatsoever. Now, there was a bit of a weird glare in there, and a lot of people were thinking like, "Oh, they're adding Strange." No, it was a CGI thing for the window. But whatever.
They screwed up because they did sloppy editing for no reason.
For no reason. They
took out a duck and they added a tree.
Yeah, they added like two trees, took out some birds. Yeah.
Yeah. Odin's Sleipnir is also Loki's kid. Yeah. Whole thing. But that's because Loki, as we are aware of him, is probably an amalgamation of various different trickster spirits in the Norse pantheon that got coagulated due to Christian mercenaries. Missionaries needing a Satan figure.
Yeah. Mental mercenaries.
Yeah, right.
I'd say maybe since COVID messed up the original timeline. I don't know. I don't know. A way to get WandaVision fresh in people's mind. I mean, maybe I don't see that either. It's such an odd move, and also it would make me think like I wonder what else they have changed slightly.
Yeah. Well, this is that conversation that happens when Lucas released the edited versions of the original Star Wars, and now the only way to watch the unedited ones are on the original VHS, because I don't think they ever printed them onto DVD to make the old ones. So there is the question rising again of original vision and whether you need to have physical media out there to maintain what people have put out.
Well, the thing is that when they're making movies, though, was Doctor Strange 2 slated for a week after Wanda originally? I think originally, yes, but that was back when Scott Derrickson was attached to it, and he quit, and I think that got pushed back before COVID, but probably. And Ron says, I feel like fixing mistakes, especially CGI mistakes, well after the fact is common now. Yeah, I guess so.
I think specifically the Game of Thrones coffee cup was nefarious to try and get people talking about it, because that was during the final season where conversation about the show and reviews and online sympathies to the show were tanking. completely and utterly falling apart. And I think that was them. I think that was HBO trying to be like, we got to get this back in the social media churn. But then they went back in.
What would that do? It would just make people watch that one episode, or
gets people talking about it again in a way that's not about how bad the writing is. But it's not well thought out.
But it can't send people to like the theater, so they can't make money off of it. You either watch. No one's going to sign up for HBO because of a coffee cup incident. I don't think so. Maybe. But Ron agrees with you, and he said, especially when it happens again in the last episode.
I didn't catch the second one in the last episode, but what
was the last one?
I don't know. Maybe there's a coffee cup on the table where they're all talking about who's king or something. I watched it the night of the premiere, and I have not gone back. It broke my heart. That's my angry franchise is the Game of Thrones show on HBO. People get mad about Star Wars, and I get it because I get mad about Game of Thrones.
I don't get mad about Game of Thrones. It is just a fact that last season is garbage. It is not a good conclusion. Not good at all. Ron says under Sam's chair in the final decision. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm Googling it right now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey. Jesus. That's embarrassing.
Crazy. But into even more nerd news before we hop back into this awesome story. Let's hop over to DCEU for a sec. Now, Snyder set up the DCEU, right? Visions, casting, it's all him. He gets producer credits for Wonder Woman because he designed that look, technically. Same with Aquaman. Now, Snyder is out. Now, we know that the Flash movie is coming out soon, which might have a Ben Affleck appearance as well as either an Aquaman or a Gal Gadot. There's the possibility of Wonder Woman 3, which would have Gal Gadot. Now, when casting new people, where does that line go? Because now kind of J.J. Abrams is in charge of the DC, and he's doing the next Superman movie. And they're also saying that in a Flash movie, they've cast a Superwoman. Now, there's a possibility that they're going to make the Superwoman and Superman fight and kill off Cavill. Now, that's dumb. But is there any way to maintain the vision of Zack Snyder while moving into a new vision? How do you do that?
I don't think you do it. I think Snyder's style, I think it's so heavily tied to what he does content-wise. And I think it heavily informs the aesthetic of the movie. Even Wonder Woman, I remember watching that and I'm like, there are parts of this that look very Zack Snyder-ish. He loves his No Man's Land fights. He loves his gray bullet time stuff, which happened in that first one.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to go stylistically in a different direction with Wonder Woman 84. And despite all the flaws in that movie, it didn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie. But it also wasn't good.
84?
84.
Well, 84 had nothing to do with Zack Snyder. That was post Snyder being out. That was 100% Patty Jenkins.
But
what you're saying is that movie still fits while not being Snydery.
Yeah. And I don't know. Snyder was really instrumental in developing this version of Superman. And I think killing him off is going to not be well received.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make your new Superwoman a character that people like.
Because it is difficult to recast half of a franchise, really. Yeah. At least a solid third. I mean, Superman is a third of the Trinity. Ben Affleck, I guess you could work around that somehow with Flashpoint, but I don't know how they're going to do getting rid of Cavill or recasting Cavill.
They put all of their eggs in the Snyder bucket, all of them.
Yeah,
and it did not work out. And they're trying desperately to salvage whatever they can of this. And I think it's probably just best for them to be like, you know what? We screwed up.
Yeah.
Let's just make a bunch of great one-off movies.
Yeah, which I think is what they should do anyway. I think some things should be attached, some things should be solid one-offs. I've always said that. Anyway, all right, let's get into what we're doing here.
Sure.
What we do on this show is take a concept that we've created and then keep working it down until we can sell it to somebody and Twitch ourselves up to a streaming service or at least a steady cash flow stream. Either way, I'll let Dylan kind of catch us up to where we are and what we're trying to accomplish with today's episode.
So the project we've been working on for the last few weeks is a potential podcast called Red Wichita. It's a serial style, so a kind of documentary style podcast about what happens when a supervillain named Red Emperor takes over the city of Wichita for about 3 to 3.5 weeks or so, and how the rest of the superhero community in the United States at the time tries to come together and prevent it from becoming a global disaster, or just not letting him run Wichita for as long as he can. And then the main drama of the story is that the narrator of the podcast, a woman named Daphne Driver, who is a reporter for the Wichita Eagle, lost friends in Wichita and believes that the superhero analog in the setting, Superion, is at least responsible or at least an unwitting accessory to the damage. Whether it was intentional or not, Superion is partially responsible for why this went so badly. We sketched out, I think, 6 rough episodes on our episode, which you can go watch Twitching UpStream 7, whatever episode it was. I don't remember. You can go watch that to get like our original build-up of this. But we've been kind of just developing the episodes itself. And we've gone through most of the backstory in the first episode. And that is Daphne had some friends of hers who were reptilians from the center of the earth who had started podcasting about local superhero goings-on. They had managed to get a recording that sounded like Superion getting involved in some way. That's kind of the impetus for Daphne getting involved. We have her interviewing a few minor heroes, villains. We have her managing to interview Red Emperor himself at one point, and he's just like, hey, maybe Superion had something more to do with it than you think. We worked out a few backstory things, and I think we were ready to go on to episode 2. I think.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I haven't covered?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess the crux of it was that she knew I guess that was she works with the. Okay, yeah, she's the April O'Neil. Nah, I remember. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So episode 2 is going to start now. Do we have each one starting with a clip of the original interview or
either? Yeah, we can start with either some legacy audio is the term I use for in-universe audio that's from a previous recording.
The lizard podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would be really fun to start every episode with a segment from the lizards.
Yeah, which is real C or a D level, not important whatsoever. They're getting free gas or just something, it's these friggin' superheroes in this town, get another cup of free coffee, and you're whatever.
Oh, this is pretty good. Reptilian Podcast should have them pranking an Alex Jones type guy. Every episode they set up some kind of gaslight on him until they get fridged for Driver's backstory.
Yep, love it.
Yeah, reptilians in the fridge is a real unsavory trope that we're going to make full advantage of in this.
Oh yeah, you got
The thing about reptilians is if you put them in the fridge, they go into torpor and kind of hibernate a little bit because they're cold-blooded.
Yeah, the same with flies. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I used to catch flies on my screen and put them in the freezer, and then I would put them in my sister's medicine bottles. So when she would open them in the morning, a bunch of flies would pop out, just fly out, and she literally had no idea what was happening. Yeah, yeah, it was. It was really I was I don't know what's in that medicine. And and that's why I told her her medicine was that's what I told her medicine was just deep freeze dried maggots. And I was
that's a really good prank in general. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, yeah, we had some weird ones. A lot of them included putting insects in the freezer.
Yeah.
Like we would put like bees in there, and then when they would fall asleep, we would tie string to them and then take them to school as our pets, and we would just have like bees like flying on like dental floss or tiny little string. But anyway, okay. So Red Flanagan says one of the reptilians escapes by losing his tail, which is found in the wreckage, setting up a dramatic fake out so he can return later in the series as an edgy Nightwing type. That is great.
We had the reptilians called MHLP, and I remember that being some sort of parody of TMNT. Do you remember what that actually stood for?
It was like millennial
humanoid lizard podcasters or something like that, wasn't it?
I forget. I feel like
something like that.
Probably that makes sense. I mean, we can watch last week's episode and figure it out again, but
I guess
I mean that's the close one. Because I remember it was like Teenage Mutant Lizard podcasters.
Yes. Yeah.
So millennial humanoid lizard. Yeah, that makes sense. With Alan Scales.
With Alan Scales.
What a good show it's going to be.
He gets promoted to Commodore Scales.
Yeah. Commodore Scales.
That's like my favorite name that you've ever come up with for a character. I don't know why. Sounds like something from Star Fox.
Yeah. So the segment's going to start with the Reptilian podcast about pranking and Alex Jones. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Because Red Emperor is Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm into that. Who is there, Alex Jones, or do we have?
We don't have anything planned for it.
Yeah.
This is just either a character building moment to establish why Daphne was so close to these guys, just to make us. Yeah,
I was asking who our Alex Jones is going to be, or is it Alex Jones?
It could just be Alex Jones. Do we know anybody who can do an Alex Jones impersonation?
I think anyone.
I guess it's not difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, so I'm into that. And then the first interview is with Heavy Step, and Heavy Step's involvement with the big crisis was what?
Well, Heavy Step was a localized hero. His ability was that he was the capoeira guy who could like adjust gravity in his own body.
Oh, sick.
So yeah, right. So what kind of light can he shed on the start of everything? Because we're building up to the actual catastrophe in episode 3, or I guess at the end of this episode, we're kind of like building up towards it.
Yeah. Okay. So
oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Yeah.
So let's see. So the first thing, we do know that there is a financial gain for Superion to have helped / not helped fast. There is, let's see. So one of them needs to know. So, okay, Daphne knows that Superion did not show up in time.
Yeah.
On time.
And it took him time. It took him 3 weeks to involve himself. And when he does involve himself, it does not take him long to actually solve it.
Yeah. So maybe Heavy Step was one of the first superheroes to be like dispatched by the government to
like a first responder for superheroes.
Yeah. It's like, it was like we were part of that first group that went there and try to figure it out. Yeah, we were curious why Superion wasn't here either.
He noticed, maybe he's part of the group that noticed that there was an earthquake in Wichita, which doesn't happen in Kansas. And because Red Wichita has tectonic powers, so he's like, we noticed there were earthquakes happening, and we didn't think much of it, but I had a lot of like demolition delay, like non-controlled demolition delaying jobs where I got called in to prevent a building from falling down. And Wichita's normally pretty stable.
What if somehow we work in that since he has tectonic powers and he can like alter stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say that he I was trying to work in the concept of him choosing certain buildings to fall down that are either sponsoring him or that are sponsoring Superion. Like maybe Heavy Step be like, yeah, that's when I noticed that like the only big building that didn't fall down was X Corp, you know,
Cool.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. And then maybe later on, somebody's like, yeah. And then we realized the day that X Corp dropped, that's when Superion like was in there within an hour, you know, and maybe because behind the scenes there was fighting, and that's how Red Emperor got back at Superion, because financial backing, I guess. What do you think about that?
No, I like that a lot. That the earthquakes or tectonic weirdness doesn't seem to knock over certain buildings, and I didn't think anything of it until Daphne reached out or something, or you know, something like that.
Yeah, well, way before Daphne reached out.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe that's why the first set of, you know, responders went there. And I don't know, do you think that they should have like a verbal like just like a conversation with Red Emperor? And because there's got to be a reason that the first group of superheroes don't
try and take him down,
or don't succeed. At least
I figure they don't succeed because Red Emperor brings his like bad you know, every villain has like their 4 lieutenants or something. You've got your
so maybe two
Black
of them were in this. Maybe two of them were in this group.
What do you mean?
Like maybe
two of the bad guys were infiltrating?
Yeah, maybe they were part of like the superhero group until like this event or something. And that's why that first group fell, or no?
I was thinking it was something like these are the first 4 local guys to try and go in and fight Red Emperor. They realize they're outmatched, so they retreat. And then they're doing like they're like sneaking into the city to get people out during the occupation, or they're running relief stuff or something like that.
So they just
go for it.
So they sent in like a first wave attack and lost terribly, and then just reverted back to being rescuers. All right, cool. I'm into that. I like that.
Then they went to try and take down. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I got an email with the word rent in the contact in the subject header, and it's not relevant to me. They just mass sent it out.
Yeah.
Then they went to try and take down Red Emperor.
You didn't read all the email. It was a wrench sale.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Classic wrench sale.
Oh, man. I got to stop subscribing to those mailing lists.
Wrench Weekly.
Yeah. And left. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then part 2 is interview with Dean Powers. Now, what's Dean's dealings?
Dean works for the Department of Powered Individuals. So Daphne that's kind of the reason she could reach out to him. It's like, what was your, you work for the DPI at this time. What was your immediate assessment of the situation or something? Because he's kind of, I think in this series, he's kind of the government he's the government contact for her, at least at the start.
Now, is this, do we learn from Dean that there was multiple notices for Superion to show up?
Yeah.
Would he have that information, or
maybe he doesn't directly interface with Superion's like handlers, but he's like, yeah, we sent the normal smoke signals and nobody and he didn't respond.
Yeah. What's like the key info?
Ooh.
Rent. If you're over 65, Colorado, you'll be amazed at these rates. Also, hot singles, doubles, 12 packs in your area. That is so true. Dylan only takes on 12 packs.
I certainly do.
Yeah. Swingers beware. Okay, so we know about handlers. We know a lot about handlers. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
chat is getting saucy today.
It is weird. So what's Dean bringing to the table other than the fact that he knows some of the people that were called upon that were there?
you have your like you always talk to the chief of police in these sorts of podcasts to get like the official story, and Dean is providing what was the official story at the time.
Yeah.
Which was, we sent out notices, we dispatched the normal teams.
And he's like, everyone showed up except for Superion, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like either he has more information that he's keeping to himself, or lying about something. Bye.
Yeah. I think we have her going back to Dean later on.
See, that's what I'm thinking. I feel like he knows something else. I just don't know what that is yet. What do you think it is?
What does Dean know? I think he probably has some sort of classified info that she doesn't get yet.
Maybe that. Okay, how about this? What if that recording that she has of Red Wichita and whatever dealings where Superion is in the background, right? What if it turns out in the second interview with Dean Powers that Superion did show up the first time he was called, and that's when he had like that meeting, and then he didn't show up the next couple times, but the media thinks he never showed up.
Yeah.
So Dean's like, maybe somehow Dean flubs and was like, well, he showed up that one time, but that was it. And she's like, no, you, and she's like, flips back through her pages and she's like, you very clearly said he never showed up. And she's like, and then Dean's like, well, no, I mean, he was here the very first before like anything really major happened. So blah, blah. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I like it.
Right,
definitely. Cool. I'm skipping ahead a little bit to make sure we have these seeds scattered throughout, but Daphne manages to get Dean with a gotcha question about how he said Superion never showed up earlier in episode 2, and Dean backpedals now that she has some sort of incriminating proof. We'll develop that a little bit later when we get to it, but I think the main thrust for episode 2 is that we foreshadowed the revelation that Superion did show up, and that's where Daphne's audio comes from that the MHLP got. So Dean says Superion never showed up, and we foreshadow that second interview revelation with, Dean says maybe info.
Yeah, because maybe Dean says like the first wave of superheroes that we called out, they all kind of like had just negotiations, like just diplomatic negotiations. The only person didn't show up as Superion. And she's like,
and they were cautious to advance on any sort of front when their heavyweight wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
our hands were tied. We weren't ready to go off half cocked. Like we weren't ready to go without everybody ready to go.
Yeah, and I like the media thinking that Superion never showed up till later for some reason.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So part 3, why Red Emperor chose Wichita.
This is effectively just kind of like reading the Wikipedia article for Wichita. Not exactly, but this is just like, before we go into the attack of the events of the day itself, it's important to understand why Wichita, Kansas, or like what Wichita is, and then we go into like, at the time of the 2020 census, Wichita's population numbered and we can flub all of our data because it's a superhero setting.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a massive metropolis, but it is located in the center of the breadbasket state with little tectonic activity or something like that.
I think the only fictional thing that we should add is a couple major, let's say, oil companies or just like 1 to 2 major companies that have just billions of dollars for something, solar or corn syrup.
They're just hedge funds.
Yeah, but like people don't really know what the company is or what they do. They're just big and they adopt a lot of highways.
Yeah. They adopted a lot of highways and a lot of philanthropic projects.
Yeah, philanthropic.
And a lot philanthropic.
Philanthropic.
I sound weird. I sound weird, and that's going to continue for the next 49 and a half weeks.
Oh,
that's
God.
Okay.
Here comes his friggin' brag.
Nope.
Go ahead. Hit him with the hot brag.
No, that's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Dylan's getting new teethies.
Oh,
Red Flanagan says Red Emperor has tectonic powers, right? That could help with.
That's a good point. Yeah,
there you go.
And Kansas has oil. Like there are, you drive through Kansas and there are oil derricks.
Yeah, there is. They're called derricks. That's cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so what if the ultimate thing is Red Emperor wants the sponsorship that Superion has, and that's why all of this happened, and people don't know about that. And then the big thing is like this all happened, and then wait, Superion is sponsored by oil companies. Wait, Superion's sponsored? Hey, we'll get to that. That's fine. Either way, I do like the in that whole Wikipedia article, there's just like the two main companies that are ultimately nefarious, but we don't know about that. Number 4, collection of clips from the day itself. Wait, Red Flanagan says, so Red Emperor becomes a partner because he can extract oil and then later gets his comeuppance by getting black bagged and enslaved by the oil companies because they're real bad guys. Yep.
We do have him serving his sentence at the San Andreas Fault, where he's preventing it from having the big earthquake, and he's trying to unwind the fault. So I mean, it kind of works.
Works perfectly.
Turns out Red Emperor was a hidden part. The term is not really hidden partner, but Red Emperor was, worked with the oil companies, and their decision to they finally were like, all right, Superion, go in and get him.
And he's like, not yet.
Well, at the end, they're the ones who are stopping him from doing it. But at the end, finally, they're like, you know what? We're cutting ties with the Red Emperor. Superion, get on in there.
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So 4, collection of clips from the day itself. News reports about Red Emperor approaching on the ground audio from in-person recordings. Red Emperor proclamation of annexation. All right. Seems pretty self-explanatory.
This is all like in-universe audio of like, you have a group of non-reptilian podcasters being like, it's the Wichita Sports Hour, and you hear shaking. It's like, whoa, what's this? And then you have audio from like a newscast of like some event where, so-and-so, this is the beginning of every superhero disaster movie nowadays where someone's recording something on their cell phone, but it's the podcasting version of it.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
And it doesn't need to be much, but like,
so it's like just a bunch of different like news anchors speaking, or
news reports, podcasting interruptions,
podcasting interruptions.
Well, as in like people recording their podcast, and then that episode gets interrupted because they're in Wichita when it happens, and they're like,
"Oh,
whoa, wait a minute, what's up with your screen? Is your screen shaking?" It's like, no, this is an earthquake, man. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, the platinum alert.
Yeah, whatever alert they have.
Okay, so Red Flanagan says maybe that's Superion's gift. He defeats bad guys as they disappear to be enslaved for corporate heavy industry based on power. They also set heroes up to look bad so they can get to. Yeah,
I like that a lot. I like the fact that one of Superion's like sponsors is a secret superhero enslavement center.
Yep,
that's messed up, which is exactly what I expect from Red.
Yeah, even superhero enslavement is a for-profit camp.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, so four seems easy, right? That's just I
mean, this is effectively something we can reach out to all our podcasting buddies about, where we're like, hey, if we give you a character sheet and we're like, all right, you're in Wichita, you're so-and-so, improvise something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's something. We get like 4 or 5 sections of this, and then we get whoever's voicing Red Emperor, we write out like a proclamation of annexation or like declaration of conquering or something like that. And
does he have like a list of demands first or something?
Leave me alone. I'm in charge now.
Yeah, he just wants it.
This is my city. Yeah,
it's mine. All right, so 5, interview with Doc Quantum, importance of timing and quick response.
Yeah, so this
What
is
what's Doc Quantum's powers again?
I think we had Doc Quantum. He had some sort of time screw ability. Oh, he invented ways to give people powers.
Oh.
And he we had him written down as having gotten killed by Red Emperor's people, but that doesn't really work with this. Because we had it was an interview about the importance of timing and quick response in like disaster situations.
Yeah. So what do you want to do with this?
So this is a little bit of exposition about like, the myth about the 24-hour missing person thing is false, right? It's important to get acting as soon as you can. We had to get acting in Wichita as soon as we could. Something like that. And then maybe he has some line about like, I pride myself on being able to think ahead, and I hadn't seen this coming.
And he's like, yeah, once I saw Superion fly away, I knew that like I was gonna have to really use my noggin. And like, what? Superion flying away? Like, no, that's not. He was never here. And he's like, no, he was here. He asked for some help. Maybe Superion.
I don't think you should mention Superion immediately, but I think I like him hinting at, maybe there's something about like, we knew some heavy hitters were in town, but nobody was around. Nobody seemed to arrive on the scene when it was happening. It's important to think ahead, which is why it was weird that there was no quicker response other than Heavy Step, and he like kind of shit talks Heavy Step a little bit. But he makes reference to the fact where he's like, if anybody had bothered to respond quickly to this, we could have taken care of this and people would be alive.
Yeah. Red Flanagan says Doc Quantum was dead, but in fact retreated into a special box in which he was both alive and dead until it was opened by his buddy later when it was safe.
Yeah. I like that he escapes using Schrodinger. It's like this is the last surviving Schrodinger box.
Yeah. And it's like, you took the time to carve this into a cat? It's like, well, yeah, obviously.
I'm not going to try this on a cat unless I try it on myself first.
No, carve it into a cat. Like it's a cat-shaped box.
It's like the Sphinx.
Yeah, or like a tiger or something.
Elaborate on how there was no quick response by any superhero except Heavy Step, said with disdain. Then Doc Quantum didn't see anything else because he retreated into his Schrodinger box and was later rescued when it was safe. I probably misspelled that, but that's okay. Oh. Huh. It just sounds so German. I expect there to be a silent E in there somewhere.
Elaborate? Yeah, there's 2 E's there.
Oh.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so Daphne talks to Doc Quantum, who now is out of his Schrodinger's box, and he just says, yeah, it's really important about timing and quick response, and lets him know that somebody could have solved it.
Yeah. Well, if this is a failure, maybe Doc Quantum doesn't know much, but the reason he propels Daphne forward is he was like, this was a failure of every superhero who could have been there. And there are a dozen in the United States alone who could have been there on time. Where was
does he allude to some superheroes have being there and left, maybe? I feel like, is it just like, but where was Superion? Is that it? Like the question is like, where was he? Or do we allude to him being there and having left?
Maybe we make reference to the fact that nobody was around to take it seriously, despite the fact that Wichita's a big city.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
Yeah, cool.
Is that so that's episode 2?
That's episode 2 written out.
All right, excellent. All right, so next week we are going to try to crush a couple more of these episodes. I'm not going to have so much nerd news next week, maybe, depending. Obviously, depends on the news. But yeah, I really like where this is going. This is a very cool little thing, and I would like to listen to it already.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been what we do on Twitching UpStream. We take weird concepts and turn them into stuff that hopefully people could figure some stuff out. Red Flanagan says some side characters should be doing a psych study on supers to see why so many go crazy, because their entire life is nothing but trolley problems. Yeah, I'm into that. That's funny.
Oh God, that's a great way of putting forward like the curse of the superpower. Your entire life is trolley problems. You got nothing to do except choose the lesser destructive path. Sounds awful.
But you can see that it does. You can see the progress of this and all the weird stuff that Some Nobodies creates, all the things that Dylan writes, and I talk about way too much over at our website, somenobodies.com. We also have a Patreon. We have people that help us make some stuff, and the people that we like to thank for that are Scott Curtis of Behind the Bits, that awesome podcast, award-winning interviewer and podcaster, Scott Curtis. Fairly funny guy, but very good podcaster. But check out his show, Behind the Bits, anywhere you listen to anything. We also have some East Coast friends, Tanya Sheck and Sarah Takachik. Thank you. We appreciate you all the way on the East Coast. We also have Listener app, which I think changed names on us and didn't let us know. It used to be as the greatest podcast app on Instagram. Now it's called like Momentum or Memento. Yeah. No, that's a gum. That's some kind of chewy something. Fresh Makers?
5 gum. You never seen those commercials where it's like a dude gets frozen in ice and then shattered into a billion pieces, and they're like, "This is why you should chew our gum."
You never seen those? Of course I have. I'm just wondering what the correlation between that and Mentos, the Fresh Maker gum is.
No, I think it's Memento, not Momentos.
No, My Mentos.
They want Momentos.
At mymentos.com.
We're not showing for Mentos.
That's where you can find all of my Mentos, all my favorite flavors, such as orange. But yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We have a GoFundMe. We have a movie that we're still working on called Give Me Back. It's something that we actually made on Talking UpStream, which we love that show. So please check that out. If you want to hear more of our words coming out of our mouth, you can see us on The Real Boys most Mondays and Fridays. We have a show, a newer show called No Time to Binge, which is a very cool bi-weekly show where we kind of watch just the first and last episode and then just try to guess what happens in the middle, because who's got time for all this stuff? Red Fanning says 5 gum. What happens if you give the under the skin guy creative control of your Yeah, for real. It's still better than the Skittles things. I don't understand those.
Oh God, yeah.
Whatever.
You remember those Quiznos ads with the weird little like paper cutout monkeys?
No.
I'll send you the link after the show. I think you'll remember them.
Paper monkey Quiznos ads.
They were those. They would cut out the eyes and mouths from magazines and have the little.
Oh gosh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I am not interested in that. But yeah, so that's where you can see our stuff. You can hear our stuff anywhere. Literally open up any app that you have on your phone, type in Some Nobodies. Most likely you'll see something that we do there. Animal Crossing or Xbox Live, or and who really cares?
Who knows?
But yeah, until you click on something else that we do, Dylan, my best friend, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Yeah, thank you to Scene Snobs for having us on here. A couple shows. Thank you to Jeff Dwoskin. Check out his show if you're interested in other stuff that you can watch. But yeah, till next time, guys. I've been Zach. He's been Dylan. You've been great. Thank you. We appreciate you. Bye.
Take it easy out there, guys.
Thank you.